And this is Erin, and we are from Berkeley Group. And we've been hired to help the county with their comprehensive plan update. So today, this morning and this afternoon, we're doing stakeholder interviews, and I hope that you all got the questions ahead of time and have had some time to review those and look over them. Is it working? Okay, can you hear me? That's better. So we just wanted to get some input, some general, more intimate kinds of input for the comprehensive plan from my stakeholders. So I usually start these off by having everybody introduce themselves and just a little bit about why you're here, and before we start kind of formal questions. So Natalie, do you want to start?
My name is Natalie Slayton. I'm the Director of Economic Development for Graceville County. Of course, the business and development portion of this is very important to me.
So you have to be there.
We got courses. Highly recommended, right?
I'm visiting and I'm just a county resident.
Okay.
Not just. County residents are important.
And
I'm Shawna Rivera. I am from Orleans Safety Glass. I am the HR manager there. I was just here to observe to get information.
okay. And where are we from again?
Orange Safety Glass.
Okay.
It's one of our largest industries.
Right.
Call it OSG for short.
Did you get the questions ahead of time?
Yes, I did.
Do you want to start us off and, talk about any concerns or just kind of general, before we start with questions?
I don't have many concerns. Like I said, I was here just to observe and listen and
Okay.
get
You want me to
input.
review a little bit about what a comprehensive plan is and how it works in the community?
I'm sorry,
Do you want me to talk a little bit about the comprehensive plan and how it works in the community? Okay.
Correct.
The comprehensive plan is the county's plan for the future. So it guides the physical development of the county and services, and it's through the planning department. And it also guides all of the other regulations as far as land use goes, so zoning and things like that. So the regulations need to coincide with the plan. And we have a big public input part of this plan because we want to know what the concerns of the community is, what you feel like you need, where the strengths and weaknesses are in the county. And so we can address those in the plan and set goals for what you need for the next 20 years. And Greensville County has done quite well in their last plan. They had goals that were met. I mean, they've really done a good job, I think, of meeting the goals. A lot of communities have the same goals every 20 years, but Greensville's really done a good job. They have had a lot of services and utilities goals last time, and a lot of those have been met and exceeded even. So we're happy to move on to the next phase. And from our last workshop 1, we got a lot of goals from the community about quality of life. So they recognize that the services and utilities have improved, but now they say we need to retain the people who are here and draw new people in, so we need to work on the quality of life. So that's the goals that we saw the last time, and we will focus on those at tonight's meeting again in some more detail. Anyone else want to say anything about their experiences or just in general before we get to the formalities? Do you have anything about economic development that you think?
No, I'd rather hear Natalie tell us what she thinks the problems are, because she obviously does it
Right.
like which one's fine.
No, that's fine. So how do you want me to frame, you want me to frame what I think Greenville County
Yeah,
lacks in?
um,
And I don't know that this can really be comprehensive plan
right.
goals, but
Sometimes, yeah, it's hard to fit that into that plan, but, did you look over the questions beforehand?
is it the last paper?
The one that just had the questions for stakeholders, the first one?
No, I didn't receive that.
Okay, I thought maybe you were prepared, but if not, then maybe you can do those.
So what drives people to locate their business or organization in Greensville County is the low cost of living, the low cost of operations. Our land is certainly cheaper than if you were to try to build a facility in Richmond or Hampton Roads area. Our location is, you can't find a better location with 95 and 58 crossing, so the logistics from here is great. If you're going to the ports, we've got great rail access, so transportation out of here, not just roads, but rail. And then we have 3 international airports within an hour to an hour and a half drive with Richmond, Raleigh, and Newport News. So, or Norfolk, sorry. So I think we have a lot of great assets that make industry look here. In the next 10 to 20 years, what opportunities? One of the things that we have worked on for the last 10 years now is building the mega site. And I'm sure you are familiar there. So that is prime and ready to go now. And they told us when we started the process, literally 10 years ago, it will take 10 years to get this land, all the environment, all the utilities to where you can really market it and it's ready to go. And we really are right there at that 10-year mark. The water's in place, the sewer's in place, the roads are in place, all the land is owned, all the environmental is completely done. Electrical and gas are being designed right now. So it is, other than having a shovel-ready pad, it is ready to go. It's what they call a tier 4 out of 5 tiers. And the only reason
right now?
it is a tier 4 right now. And the only reason that we are not going to put a pad in is because it's 1,600 acres. Where do you put it? How big do you make it? It's just, we hate to put $1 million into a 200-acre pad and it's in the wrong place. So it's relatively flat. Therefore, it's not a lot of turnaround time on doing site work and getting a pad ready. So we just decided not to put that money in to make it. And that's the only thing left that we're making it tier 5. So the opportunities for the development of the mega site really need to continue to be pushed and marketed, and that will make a huge impact on the community, not just the community, but the whole region. So I guess the goal to be set on that is to find developers and find businesses that want to come here. And we do have some that are looking currently. Originally, it was built for one large user, like a car manufacturer or something like that, that would take 1,000 to 1,500 acres all themselves. You just don't see that many projects that are that large anymore. So Greensville County has decided to look more at 200 to 500 acre parcels and dividing it up. And we've always thought that it was better to have numerous middle to large employers than one huge one, because if that huge one leaves, closes, has layoffs, you're hurt, right? Very badly. So, that would definitely be one of the goals and opportunities over the next 10 to 20 years. I think we also need to create another industrial park for the smaller 10 to 25 acre type businesses and industries. Our current industrial park is full, with the exception of one lot, which is right across the street from LSG. So maybe they'll go there one day if they keep expanding. So we have the one lot that's cleared and ready to go, and we have another tier 4 site that's still wooded. So that would be the next one. But after that, we don't have any more sites.
How
So-
many acres is that, the last one?
So the one that is cleared right now is about 25 to 30 acres, and the one that we refer to as FASTA that still has trees on it, is 45, I believe.
So it's a little bigger.
It's bigger and all the environmental's been done, but it, like I said, it still has trees on it. It is a tier 4 because the engineering has been done, but it would need road work and utility work to be in operation.
And the one that is like, kind of ready to go is 20 acres?
That's about 25,
25.
and everything's in place for that one.
So did you have an area of the county in mind that for the new park?
Yes. It is actually just north of the existing park on the other side of 301.
Oh, okay. And is that land already,
It's private land.
okay,
We haven't done anything with it. We just think that's the next logical step because utilities are in place. Should natural gas ever come to this side of 95, that would be the best place for it to come, would be right through that area. Roads, water, sewer, it's all adjacent to the site that we're looking at.
does the existing park, I can't remember exactly the businesses are in there, are they from light industrial all the way up to kind of heavier industrial, or is there a mix in there, or are they all?
It's actually a mix. We have a FedEx distribution facility there. Toll Brothers is a luxury modular home builder, and they have two sites. They have one that's in the city of Emporia and then one in our industrial park. And in the industrial park is more of a warehouse and shipping location. Then Beach Molded Tool, which is not Beach Molded Tool anymore, I'm sorry, they got bought out by Haco Works. They are a plastics injection molding company, and they don't have their own product. They build products for other people to put their name on. So they make components to larger products. And then, of course, Orion Safety Glass, who has been with us for about 10 years now, and they are a bulletproof glass manufacturer that also, and I'm sorry to talk over you, you're welcome to correct me or add to it, but they also make shatterproof glass for transportation as well. So they originally came here to build windows for military vehicles, and then as the military funding started to decrease, they branched out into transportation, so subways, buses, trains, things like that. And then our newest company that's in there is, it was called CIMC, which was China Intermodal Chassis. When they originally came here, their parent company is, the big parent company is in China, but they had a location in California. And then they had a location here. And they would ship the parts to the chassis, which is basically the trailer that goes behind the truck that the cargo container from the port goes on. They would bring the parts over here and then just assemble it. But about 6 months ago, they announced that they were going to start manufacturing in the U.S. also. So I think they started the manufacturing line in California, and their intention is, if they haven't already started, to also bring the manufacturing equipment here and start it here as well. Because they have a great relationship with Ford, which is why this location is doing so well. They actually have 2 buildings in the industrial park. And then, of course, one of our largest employers is Boar's Head Meat Provisions, which is located in Jerry.
That's a standalone site, right?
I'm sorry,
That's kind of a standalone site. That's
yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you probably wouldn't even know they were there if you didn't go looking for them.
Yeah.
Except the trucks.
I saw that on my tours. And since then, I've noticed it when I see it in the stores.
Yeah, that's the only thing, we can't buy it here. They make it here, but we can't buy it here.
It's not an outlet or something, I mean, sometimes they have a place to do so.
Yeah, they don't, I guess they don't sell in Food Lion and Walmart, and those are really the only grocery chains we have. But one of the things we talked with them about several years ago was having we talked about doing a business incubator.
Mhm.
And, having them as an anchor in the business incubator as like a deli where people could go buy their products or have a sandwich or, we got pretty far down the road talking about it, but then the business incubator got dropped, for other reasons. So that may be something that we can look into, in the future, is looking at a business incubator again.
Was it the funding or just kind of?
Funding and another project came up that took precedent over the, incubator for the grants that we were looking at.
That's something that we need to put on the list for maybe potential future.
I think so. I think it's important.
One thing that you said, ties into one of the goals that was established in the last workshop, and people said, we take advantage of all of our transportation, amenities. So one of them that was mentioned was rail. Do you think that there can be more development that uses the rail, or do you think it's kind of maxed out, or?
CSX is pretty maxed out throughout the county. They have a spur that goes into the existing industrial park. There is one site in Skippers that the spur already crosses, so if we were to develop that site, we could get rail, but and the Vega site also, will have a turnout when that's developed. But they've pretty much said they're not adding any more turnouts, that it's too congested. Apparently there is a strip of CSX that is only one-way traffic, and that's what Greensville County gets. Below us, they have dual rail lines, and above us, they have dual rail lines, but we're the only ones, so they have to literally wait to go through in Greensville, so they don't want any more congestion than what's already here and the potential that Maymac can bring. So as far as CSX, we are maxed out. We used to have a service line from Norfolk Southern. That was shut down because of a large, repair that was necessary east of us. And we really struggle with Norfolk Southern. They won't sell it and let somebody else use it as a short line. They won't fix it. They're very hard to get to the table to even discuss it. So they're just letting it sit. That I believe that could get repaired and reopened would be of great benefit because it goes directly to the port. But as of right now, it's not looking like they'll ever do anything with it unless we bring a client in or somebody west of us brings a client in that's just so huge that they can justify the repair.
Yeah, I think they had 2 customers on it when they shut it down.
In Emporia, yeah, they literally called Friday and said, we're not servicing this area anymore. GP Emporia, was using them, and Toll Brothers was using
And
them.
then the rock quarry and brick and tile and
And
Brunswick,
Marks.
it's all been 4 clients basically that have
What are they doing now?
trucks. When the rock quarry shut down, they have to ship everything by truck.
Yeah, I think the brick company was hurt, because they did job estimates based on travel by rail, and they had to turn around and pay for truck. So they were hurt definitely in the beginning. GP Emporia had another facility in Skippers in Greensville County, and they were trucking it down there and putting it on the rail line, because that's served by rail, CSX rail. But they don't own that anymore, so I guess they're just 100% trucks.
Are there any other transportation areas that you think, you have something in mind for, or think needs more development or upgrades that would really help economic development?
We're working with VDOT and the Port Authority on that 58 arterial plan. I'm trying to reduce the travel times. I've got all the reports and stuff I can give you. The main purpose of that is to reduce the travel time from the ports to the 85 intersection up near South Hill in Mecklenburg County. We've been working on this project for about 3 years. They have recommendations on new traffic patterns in certain areas where you have signalized intersections on 58. There are 2 in the city of Emporia. There aren't any signalized intersections. in Grayson County, but these localities are able to apply for VDOT funds, V-Trans funds, smart scale funds to make those improvements to do away with those signalized intersections and to speed traffic up. So that's something in the transportation component of the comp plan. I can give you all that information.
You won't see those changes in the city though.
No.
I think the ones in the county were decent changes, shutting down a couple of crossovers that were too close to another one and things like that.
Right.
But the ones at the signal in Emporia, you won't see this happen. It would
No.
kill their commercial development.
Yeah, it would. But I know some of the localities east of us are applying for smart scale funds, Southampton, Suffolk, and them are to make these improvements to reduce the travel time through that corridor.
So the town is, they're aware of it, they're just opposed to it? Is that-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're been involved in the whole process with VDOT.
And it's, I mean, has there been any talk of a bypass of any sort, or? Is it
Not in front of us.
just-
No, I think that may be the last option, but at this time, I don't think they are.
I mean, sometimes that can hurt the community, but sometimes it can help, like, because if they're trying to do downtown revitalization, all the trucks going through town is, it's more of a hindrance than a help, so.
Right.
We have a bypass there, we have to bypass the bypass
Right.
with that plan, so.
Oh, the marketing, is there, the marketing for the mega site, is that sufficient, do you think, or, is that from your budget, or how does that work?
We have a RIFA, which is a Regional Industrial Facilities Authority, that has 3 localities that are partnered. It's Graceville County, the city of Emporia, and Mecklenburg County. And those 3 localities, support the development and marketing of the mega site. We have a revenue sharing agreement between the 3, so you get a prorated share of any revenue once it's developed based on the money you put in prior to the development or the client. So we do support the marketing, but again, they're 3 rural localities, so we don't have a ton of money to throw at it. We try to get as much free publicity as we can through BEDP. They have marketing managers that are overseas that also help market our sites. And we are a member of the Virginia Growth Alliance, which is our regional marketing organization, and the executive director, when he goes to trade shows and things like that, also markets the site through his organization. But no, if I had an unlimited budget, I'd have commercials and billboards and,
Yeah, well, I saw one. Oh, wait.
yes, we put that one. I wanted electronic when that would change, but I got these.
Definitely noticed that.
Well, good.
That kind of ties into the just all opportunities. We were kind of focused on transportation and marketing. Especially as you look at 10 to 20 years, what opportunities we will take advantage of that would help business people. Anything else?
I don't know that it's Graceville County that needs to take advantage of it, but Graceville County has built this beautiful facility that you're sitting in that has great technology and classroom space and laboratories for welding and advanced machinery and mechatronics. We need services in this building. We need SVCC has some classes here, but it is not used to its maximum potential. We need dual enrollment classes with the high school to get these kids in here before they graduate, so they're comfortable, they know they have a path, and they can get a certification at the end and help serve our clients in the community that need those employees. We need this building to be utilized more, to help create the workforce that we need to attract and keep industry.
Is there an obstacle to that, or just that you don't have the enrollment, or?
Let me think about how to answer that.
Oh, I want to remind everybody on production.
Adult education is
We are
difficult.
Actually, this is live,
If we're live.
so just keep that in mind, so.
Where?
Live streaming.
Online?
Yeah.
Mike wanted to tell me that earlier, okay?
No.
I think adult education is difficult because this is one of the reasons I think dual enrollment is so important, is to get students in here before they get out of high school and kind of get out of when we don't have their attention anymore. If they can get in here and see the possibilities of, hey, in another year or 2 more years, I can have this electric certification and I can go make good money being an electrician, or I can learn about this advanced manufacturing equipment and I can go get a great job with OSG. And once they're out of high school, I think they lose that focus and they don't really know where to go. So that's why dual enrollment, I think, is so important to us. It's also a challenge because the local schools have to provide the scheduling and they have to provide the transportation. The community college, we are in Southside Virginia Community College, and they have to provide the instruction. If they can't fill a class, then that instruction goes to Alberta, and people here have transportation issues and can't get to Alberta. So it's a circle of problems that it's hard to solve one without another. But I'm hoping when school gets back in, we have a great asset in the school named Jody Kane, who is all about the dual enrollment and the what are those classes called? Certification type classes, and I think that if we can get the right people to provide the service of the program, whether it's SBCC or a private company, I don't know what the right answer is. I think that would be the best next step, is to have a very strong dual enrollment program, not just for kids in governor's school getting the academic side, but getting the skill set side.
And then maybe focusing it to two businesses that,
Absolutely.
yeah. I've seen some programs like that work really well. Once, especially if the business is already there and they expand and they, need a particular type of worker to actually target programs or, focus the program so they meet their needs almost exactly.
Okay.
And, Mary, you were here for the discussion about education, I think, and I think they discussed that. I don't know if you had any other questions for her or any insights or.
No, I think you just reiterated the fact that they have a lot of resources here that aren't maximized to their full potential. I think you reiterated that.
And we've done, this program is building, everything about where you're sitting was put together by the localities, the local industry representatives, the educational provider representatives, and we worked as a team to make sure that we weren't just filling the classrooms with stuff that people didn't need or bringing programs that nobody wanted to utilize. The welding program came as a result of the Dominion energy plant being built, and that was a great need. Fluor was the contractor, that's right. He needed welders, we had space, they got the equipment for us, and we put on the programs, and they had an accelerated program, so it wasn't a 2-year program to get certifications, it was condensed, and it was, 8 hours a day for so many weeks or something. So we have the capability of doing more things like that. We have good communication with our local industries to find out what they need, we just need to get the students to understand that there is a job at the end of this.
And the students that have taken advantage, we have some real success stories. Tell you, the CNC, the lineman class, that's a real popular class. That's not on this campus, it's in Blackstone.
We've got to try to run training school.
Real good success stories, especially the three she's talking about, building, CNC, and lineman class. We had kids coming to high school, going to CNC class and go to Prince George. I know one boy started around 80 grand a year, once he finished that class.
That's
We
one of the
just
things
need to
that we
get-
promote.
More people in these classes and utilize them.
Salaries, that's what a lot of the high schools and other places I've seen, they're really promoting that, and just, making kids aware that if you don't think college is the right path for you, you can make some good money.
And those hands-on skills are being lost. So they are important. It's hard to find an HVAC plumber around here.
Yes, and that's something else I've seen is apprentice programs. It's hard to find instructors because the ones that know how to do it are working.
That's right.
Yeah, that's definitely a need in a lot of communities as well.
I do think that one of the things that came out of the previous conversation was that it seemed that it was more reactionary, like there's been more success when there was like a clear set of jobs that would be available. So that
Yes,
it seemed like the enrollment went up in certain classes when there was an industry, opposed to if there's not like a clear line from taking the class to a job, that's when there's been lower enrollment and interest in the classes.
so our local high school is working on a program, and I do not know if it's in place or if it's for next year, that the local industries will sign on to their diploma being work-ready certified. And so the students, there's a list of items that you can do to get credit, like show up for class every day, there are certain classes you have to take. But anyway, it shows that they have a commitment and they understand, life skills. And if they get a certain number of credits, then they will have a work-ready certified diploma. And there are local industries, LSU was the first one to sign on, that will agree to interview any student, every student that graduates high school with that work-ready certified diploma. And I may not be using the correct terms, but that's the gist of the program. So we are trying to,
There are different levels too.
no, that's a different,
That's the other program.
that's the test.
But I think it's also be important for some of our industries. And we'll pick it on you because you're here today.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
The industries, if we put these kids through programs and get them certified, they need to have a path, a career path. Hey, you start making this in so many years, you can be here. Kids don't want to go through the program and come out making $12 an hour. They got to start somewhere, but there needs to be some incentive, from our businesses to retain these type, or retain good workers.
So has your company used any workforce trained workers that have gone through the program?
We have tried to implement that, it's just not good participation. Is that our, trying to push and, support them. Actually, Emily has come in contact with me, also trying to get employees to come in, certifications in certain areas. It's just challenging to get people to want to participate. A lot of these people have children and lives outside of their job, so it's kind of hard to get a work schedule, school schedule, and child schedule. And balance that out.
So, I'm sorry, I got a little cold here. Was that workers that you already have that you're trying to?
Correct, and we were trying, we are involved in that we haven't, not really involved with it just yet, but we're working on it.
At one time, you all were talking to SVCC about an internship program that they were trying to institute. Did that ever work out, or did COVID shut that down?
We had a few employees enrolled and we just started to lay it by the wayside and just stopped. And then we're trying again, and I've been trying to encourage, and it's challenging.
Right.
So, plus with the COVID, a lot of kids are virtual learning. It's very, very challenging to try to convince them that, hey, this is for the betterment for you. And it's I understand, but as a mother too, trying to balance how to work life balance is really tough.
So our high school has been shut down since March doing virtual learning, and the community college, as far as I know, is completely virtual right now too. So there are internship programs where students that are enrolled, whether they're in high school or just out of high school, they're enrolled in specific classes. We're trying to give them internships during the summer with the local industry, and I think this summer was supposed to be one of the first ones, and obviously people really aren't in class right now, so hopefully that program will build back up whenever we turn to a new normal.
Are you seeing a particular, lack of workers right now? I mean, do you need people now, or are you kind of stabilized with the pandemic?
We're pretty much stabilized, we're pretty much stabilized, because that is not an issue. That's right.
I think there's specific business thing, but overall, there's a lack overall in the community of skilled workforce.
And willing workforce.
Well, yes.
Willing is a big,
Yes.
is a big part of it, willing.
So like you were saying earlier, a lot of this, the comp plan can't directly address. Is there anything that you can think of, knowing what the comp plan, is focused on? Is there anything specific that, you think that the government could do to help economic development?
Well, as far as education, we have a program called the Eagles Scholarship, and it is a partnership between the city and the county, and we provide a year's tuition to SECC for any student that enrolls after graduating from our local public school. That has been used. We just expanded it to allow not just the 4 credit classes, but the certification type classes that we've been talking about with welding and mechatronics and such as well, which I think is going to be a great expansion of that program. As far as the government, I think if they will continue and possibly continue to evolve that program to include skills learning as well as academic learning, I think that's definitely a goal, is to keep that in place and continue to make it flexible as the careers need to be flexible.
So you're talking about the quality of life earlier, related to economic development. What specifically do you think are the quality of life issues that are, most important or lacking the most? Housing? Is it, recreation opportunities? Or is everything?
I kind of laugh at the term quality of life because I think it's very subjective. There are those that absolutely love being in the country with little to do, but go outside and ride a horse or ride a four-wheeler or get on the river and have a canoe, bike ride. I mean, one of the nice qualities of life around here is it's not terribly busy and you can do those outdoor activities. We have a lot of opportunity for that with the hunting and fox pens and the river. We've got a couple of boat landings that you can to put in the river. There's a lot of biking through here. And we have a lot of organized youth sports and adult activity sports as well. So I think what we need to provide, and it's hard to do, it's all a circle again, but what we need to provide is more opportunities. We have some organizations that provide services like gymnastics and softball, baseball, basketball, and things like that. There's little space for gymnasium type things like basketball, volleyball. When it is basketball season, it is hard for teams to find places to practice, hard to find places to play. So those indoor activities like that, opportunities are not there. I think that would be a great advantage to have more places like that. And just opportunities to not have to drive an hour to buy a dress to go to a wedding, to just shopping opportunities and coffee shops and things like that you don't see in the rural areas, but you have to have a population to support it and, which comes first.
Right.
But that's definitely, when I think of quality of life here, I like the slower pace because I like raising my children where they can ride their bikes and I don't think they're gonna get hit by a car. They can run around in the neighborhood and I feel safe. I like that part of the quality of life, but I would like to be able to have more options when I'm shopping and needing items without having to drive to Grand Rapids or Petersburg.
So if a large industry were to be interested in the mega site, and they wanted to bring, corporate level people in, what do you think, if there's anything that Greensville is lacking, that would prevent those people from wanting to move here, to locate here?
The higher level people, yes. I think the higher level people, need more opportunities for their family.
Like cultural,
Yes.
and what about housing?
I think we have some beautiful homes here. I don't honestly know how many are on the market and things like that. We have some great neighborhoods. Very honestly, most of our industrial managers don't live here. They live north of here where their families can participate in more activities, have more opportunities for jobs for the husband or wife of the manager, things like that. So I don't know that it's a lack of nice housing. I think it's the other opportunities that are missing here before we start having the managers live here as well.
So how do we fix that?
Yeah, it's like which comes first, like she was saying, and you need those opportunities for people to want to live here, and if there's no one here to take advantage of them, it's not financially feasible to create new opportunities.
But it's the same problem with the workforce. You can't convince people to get a certain skill unless there's a job there, but the job's not gonna come if the workforce isn't there. So we've been trying to build the opportunities to do a quick turnaround on workforce being trained, so if someone does come, we can say, we can have 100 welders for you in 18 months, or 12 months, or whatever, their build-out time is. I'm sure it could be faster than that now that we've got the lab, but that's just an example. It's hard to, you can't build the Chick-fil-A, because that's what everybody wants is a Chick-fil-A. You can't build a Chick-fil-A and then hope people will come, but you've got to have the people that can support it first. That is the most requested thing. Whenever I say an economic development, why don't we have a Chick-fil-A?
We try to.
I hadn't gotten around to it yet, but I was getting there. Just being from Richmond, I'm near 5 when I'm back home.
And there's always a line out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Because they're good at what they do, and they do fast food better than everybody, but it makes sense.
And they require a ton of employees.
I'm sorry, I am here as a member of the media, but I'm just curious. Is there not enough of a young workforce here that would be able to staff a Chick-fil-A like that? People
I think
like,
there's enough of a young workforce. I don't know if the young workforce has the right life skills.
Willingness.
fair training, yeah.
Yes.
And you would also need to staff it like from a managerial perspective.
Well, I mean, any of our restaurants or commercial developments right now, I hear from many of them say that, that they just decide not to come into work and 5 minutes before their shift, or, they'll call out sick when they post on Instagram that they're at a party. It's just that life skill, the understanding of why you should have a job, why you need a job, and what the benefits of that job are, it's just not there.
I've noticed recently and talked to some of the managers of our eating facilities here, it's like a revolving door with workers. All of them, I think, with the exception of the Mexican restaurant. I mean, it's a revolving door.
And that's family, right?
And that's all they
Yeah.
do. And the owners are frustrated, they have to hire somebody, interview them, train them, tough.
So do either of you have any comments, or even the press, I mean, you can start participating in this conversation. Have any thoughts about what she was saying, anything that sparked any ideas?
I didn't know, but I totally agree with everything she just said.
See, I do listen, I know the problems out there, I just cannot find the solution.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said. I used to call on some, probably 5 largest manufacturers in Hopewood. And, I happened to be at a luncheon with them one day, and, a young lady from, J. Sargent Reynolds was there to try to sell some work keys solutions to them. And I thought it was gonna be a normal meeting. And, and it ended up being a shouting match, because if she was trying to position what she was selling to them, they just pushed back and said, you know what? You're trying to sell me what you think we need, but you had not asked me what it was I needed. And they finally all agreed and asked her to just excuse herself and leave the room. And I was like, oh my God, why am I sitting here, you know? And, but it was a lesson learned, because there was a guy named John Tyler who came in and did exactly what they wanted. He went to each individual company, and these were the GMs of all these major plants, and got them to say, okay, look, tell me for this particular job, what skill sets do you need? And it might be some level of math, science, even critical thinking, and things of that nature. And then they would get these kids out of high school, or before they got out of high school, who didn't want to go to college, and ask them if they were interested in it. And they would work towards getting that certification. And that worked beautifully, you know, for them. I'm not saying that's the answer here, but I think here, and I think Nat is right, when you ask somebody about quality of life, you're going to get 100 different answers. But I think if you ask an adult in Greensville County, they're probably going to say job creation. Find me a better job. You know, because up in metropolitan area north of here, it's easy to, you know, to take an entry-level job in a plant, and then 2 years later, leave and go to another plant where you make more money. We really don't have that luxury down here. Once you go to one, you're there until, you know, for the duration, or you decide to quit. You know, so,
How long have you been with him?
and you know, adults provided, can they have access to the same type of training?
Yeah, that's what I was
Adults here, not just high school kids.
She's talking about that too, but the.
You know, so,
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, it's, in some cases, the chicken and the egg kind of conversation. All I know is if we keep doing nothing, you know, we're not gonna get a different answer.
Right.
Just so you will know, all of the classes here are open to everyone of all ages.
Okay, well, yeah.
There are, the dual enrollment classes are obviously just high school, but those same classes are offered at another time for adults as well.
So there's like evening.
Yes,
or-
there are day and evening classes when this place is up and running.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about this morning in the session, and yes, this is my second one for the day. I can't believe I'm here, but we, you know, I suggested, you know, one thing that was real big in Richmond was entrepreneurship. You know, there's a lot of the younger generation now really kind of want to call them jobs. You know, mom and dad aren't going to keep paying them to stay in school till they're 35 years old, then they got to do something. And it worked really well in Richmond. I can't remember the name of the organization when it started, but there were retired business leaders who took it upon themselves to become a coach or an individual who wanted to become an entrepreneur, and help them decide, you know, what that looked like as in bricks and mortars and, you know, different things, and would help them even get financing and coach them on how to manage the business. And it works really, really well. I've got a dear friend of mine in Richmond who, he used to work with Coca-Cola, and he had enough of corporate America in Atlanta to quit. And he bought a franchise called the Entrepreneur Source to become a coach to coach other people who wanted to start their own business. And I think for the last 5 years, Gus has been the top Entrepreneur Source franchise owner in the whole country. And because one night I was watching television, and my wife said, "Isn't that your friend Gus on TV?" And I looked, and Gus was the middle guy on, the show that comes on after, Jeopardy, middle channel Jeopardy. And I thought, 'cause I had no idea he was anywhere near that intelligent. And, but of course, next day I called him and said, "How come you didn't tell me you're gonna be on Jeopardy?" And he said, "Well, I only told my family, because I didn't know how well I was gonna do." Well, he came in second. But that led, he got a internship, associate professorship at the University of Richmond teaching entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of program I think could start down here, because economic development wise, I lived in Raleigh for 12 years. I lived in Chesterfield for 12 years. There is no way that any county in Southside Virginia is going to compete with Central Virginia. Just, it ain't going to happen. So my thinking is, if you flip that, when Greg Winfield and his bunch of, would go after the big top dogs that want to locate in Virginia, he wasn't going to give that to Chesterfield County if he thought, the Richmond partnerships could take care of them. So it's kind of like whoever gets the hands on it first, it's ownership. I can't make it work, then I'll pass it along. But if they go after the top dogs, I think what we might want to consider down here is start at the lower level. We've got an industrial park, we've got a mega site, and that's going to eventually, hopefully, start to take care of itself. Generate some interest, get a tenant and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, so we can survive, let's try to encourage people to develop some entrepreneurial kind of skill sets, and let's get the plumbers and the electricians. And that is right. You can't find anyone to work. I've become a jackleg at 100 different things, none of which I'm good at, but you have to, and enjoy it. And, and do that, because if we do that enough, eventually we might get a Chick-fil-A. And then we might get a bowling alley. Maybe we'll get, a movie theater, that sort of thing. But I don't think we can just sit back and wait, for, a $250 million plant to come in for 200 people working in there.
So
And it's
that,
going to happen eventually, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
that kind of dovetails into the business incubator idea.
Yes.
That's
What
definitely.
about that, struck me as
Which is-
entrepreneurs need-
I couldn't hear.
It dovetails into the, business incubator that we talked about.
But, after having said all that, the one thing that bothers me, and I brought it up before, is the culture of Granville County and the city of Boyd. Because I look at the two of them being one, two small companies. But how are you going to convince people to shop local? How are you going to convince people it's okay if your neighbor makes more money than you do? I mean, how are you going to change it? Because I really,
That's real.
of all the places I've lived, you run into that.
Yeah.
But the larger the place, the less obvious it is. Here, it's very obvious. Very obvious. Now, it might be jealousy, it might be, I don't know, what you call it, but it's real. And so I'm, you know what I'm saying? You're saying it, I bet you know what I'm saying. I just don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know who can change it. It's not something you can, I don't want to say you can't teach it. I guess you can teach it, but you probably need to start when the person is 1 year old.
A lot of things have to be taught at home too.
That's right. It is.
That's, it's nothing a government, anybody can do.
It's right.
So, that, like what you were saying about the entrepreneurship, I think technology is needed for that. So like internet service, because there's so many of those entrepreneurial companies that the primary markets would be online. So, do you think that's important? I mean, I'm sure that you do. Is there,
Well, yeah, broadband is one of our biggest issues we
Yeah.
need for entrepreneurs, for distance learning and stuff like that. And we are just getting fiber backbone put in, so in the next couple of years, we will be able to really,
branch off?
expand broadband. Matter of fact, just today, I don't know if you were here earlier, we got an award, CARES funded from the government to do broadband on your street, coming right down by your house, Beef Road, and Brink Road area. That's the only area right now in Hampton County that Mecklenburg can make the system pop, because from the substation in your house, they're still working, trying to connect to Reese Street substation to the office here, so they can't cut that out yet. Once, that'll be the complete loop, that'll be all the way from Charlotte County. They're finishing up here, so they've always got all the backbone here, then we can start pursuing the middle mile and last mile. Mecklenburg's already, Empower is already applying for the middle mile funds, so once they get this backbone built, we can start getting to people's houses, but it's necessary, you know, for entrepreneurs, people that want to work out of the house, you've got to have it. We use all that language in every application we write, it's a necessary need.
Yeah, if you ask my wife, her quality of life issue is technology. She doesn't fit. I mean, when she can't, you know, get access to something. I figured broadband was coming because I ain't been long. I tell people to put an antenna on my house.
Yours will be, I know, yours will be in place and constructed, finished by December 31st on your road.
Would you like write that down for me?
I'll give you a letter that, Mecklenburg said they'll have it done.
So Empower is committed to the full range?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
and they've even, we have a unique situation here in Greensville County, where we're serviced from
Right.
two different companies for 4 different areas. We have Mecklenburg, in New England County, we have Dominion out of Petersburg, we have Dominion out of South Hill, and Dominion out of Rock Rapids. And Dominion is not really interested in becoming an ISP, that service provider. However, they have recently struck a deal to do a pilot project right now, co-op, let co-op be a service provider in their district. Mecklenburg and Dominion are working together now, so hopefully we'll be able to provide, you know, even though Dominion don't want to only be an ISP, will allow an ISP to go into their territory to provide services to our residents.
Is that pretty recent? Man, you
Yes.
talked about it
Yes.
before, but I didn't realize it was, that's great.
One of the challenges in economic development, and this may have been a challenge in the previous comprehensive plan as well, and I don't know that it's gotten a lot better, is natural gas. We have 3 huge natural gas lines that run through Greensville County, but we cannot get gas to our clients or our residents without an extreme investment that the county can't take on.
It's astronomical.
Yeah, the clients can't take that on themselves. We have had clients leave because of it. That not packing industry up, but clients that were looking here and they were deciding between us and one other site and we couldn't get natural gas done. I don't know if local government can do anything about that, but we certainly need to have the support of state or federal. If it's restrictions or that's being put on by the State Corporation Commission, I don't know exactly what it is, but we struggle because a lot of the international companies that come over to America looking for sites are used to natural gas, they're required to have it at their own plants, so they only use it, and if we can't get it to them, then they're not gonna come here.
And you don't know the obstacles or you do know?
Capacity is an obstacle, the cost of tapping onto the line, I mean, it's like $1.5 million just to put a tap on a line that's existing. And that's not even the build out of the line to the client.
That's just to buy into it.
That's, yes. I personally, I know that there are people that are happy, but I was devastated that the ACP line was canceled because that was gonna bring more capacity to our community. And now we're still bottlenecked.
I think another, obstacle we have, and Natalie, I think will back this up, is the state incentives for these, big companies. We've lost several prospects to other states because those states offer better incentives, especially with South Carolina and Alabama. They seem to be getting all the big OEM manufacturers.
And quite honestly, the state has taken a hard look at that since then
Yes.
and have done a lot to try to not necessarily put cash on the table, because that's always dangerous, to not have that secured, but to put into place programs that will help with operational or startup expenses, like fast, quick training programs and things like that for workers. And they've really tried to, and I think that they've had some success with those, even with the economy not doing so well right now. I think those programs are gonna help. You're gonna see a change in that when people start coming around again.
Like the gas line, the Dominion walked away.
The Atlantic Coast Pipeline, yes.
That's what Warren Buffett bought, most of it.
I can't hear.
Warren Buffett, I think, bought the rest of what it was he could buy, and Dominion said, we're done.
They had some severe opposition, going through a park, a national forest or something like that, and some regulation, my understanding is the regulation was put in place that said, if you get permitted to put it in, we can pretty much tell you at any time to take it out, and that was too risky. It was too much of a risk.
Where's the natural gas taps in the county? It's one in,
Rock Creek,
the rail, yeah, then Rock Ridge Road. Well,
there's only one, other than the service line that Owens had.
Which is now being extended to DOC.
Yeah, it's being extended to DOC, but that's the only one.
That's what, so we have all of these lines that go through, we just don't have any
Yeah.
way to access it.
oh,
It costs prohibitive.
who owns it? Is Columbia own
No, Transcontinental owns one
That's Williams Transco.
and Williams Transco.
I've got a map that has, it's convoluted, because they,
Columbia Gas of Virginia is just a distribution company
Not
that is allowed to transport it from the big line to the client, but the big lines are owned by out-of-state gas.
I've got a map, because it's several different names, and Oldville Point and another company thinks, and I've got a map. Williams Transco is the one that runs east to west,
Yes.
that served Dominion, and then we were counting, or Dominion was counting on the ACP line that will give a spur, that came through. Of course, that just got canceled. Off the top of my head, I can't spit out the names.
Sounds like a grant the government should give. Sounds like the grant that the government should give to it.
Not nobody's listening.
He's not doing anything else, they might as well give it to him.
We just have a few more minutes left, and I really wanted to ask specifically, the only industry that's here is, what are your biggest challenges of being in Green County?
Among other things, it's skill sets and the ability for technology and public transportation, and it's not one specific thing I can tell you.
So public transportation, interesting. A lot of some small communities that I've worked in have specific bus lines that, stop locations, take workers to plants. There's, any potential for that, or talk about that, or?
We have a transit service, I think it's 11 stops, I might be wrong. They stop at, like here at the office complex, the hospital,
Food Lion,
food
the
line.
library.
I'm not sure what the ridership is right now, it's increased, but it's not breaking any records.
Yeah.
The
I've
more
heard of
we-
like specific
Well-
grants for these, the rule was just
Yeah.
for, to go to specific communities that have workers that want to work.
The gentleman was gonna be here today, he had to go to town, is in charge of our
Oh.
system.
okay.
I can get whatever information he like that from him, but he's out of town today, he was trying to be here, but he couldn't. But, just to expand it, I mean, you have to hire more drivers, and that's what we have the hardest time, of finding drivers that meet state requirements to drive a bus.
But that's certainly the goal, is to expand that transportation.
Yes,
The two biggest hurdles to people working that we have heard for years is transportation and childcare. A lot of employees have mom or grandma keep children while they're at work, and if grandma's sick, or then they don't have anybody else. The car breaks down, they don't have another way to get there. It's a family car, the husband took it to work and I don't have a ride. So transportation and childcare are the two biggest issues. That is what sparked the creation of the bus system that we do have. And of course, you have to take baby steps. So we do have highly populated stops. We do hope to be able one day to take a bus out to Boar's Head, to take a bus to the industrial park and things like that. We just have to know that need is there. And it would be probably on a different type schedule, because if you have 20 people getting off work at one time and need a ride, our buses can't hold that yet. So it's something that we would like to expand, and help the businesses in the industrial park with that. We have looked into a childcare facility numerous times. We actually had a committee that up to about a year ago was meeting on it. And it's a financial issue. We can build it and we can put the service in, but people either can't pay what it would cost to even just cover the operational cost, or I believe there are social service dollars for qualified employees to receive for childcare, and that doesn't cover the cost, so that we could not make the operations balance out to where we could do it. So if we can find the right grant money or find the right operational way to make it happen, I think we'd very much like to try to open that again, and it would be a 24-hour one, because we do have several daycare services, but it's only that, it's daycare, it's not childcare, it's daycare. Either for students that aren't for children that are not in school yet, or for after school care until about 6 p.m. And you can't find anything after 6 p.m. You all have a third shift, don't you? Or a second? You have a second. Okay, so you need to have that. I know Boar's Head does. So you would need to have that evening care, and that's where it gets difficult. But we do know it's a need, and I would love to see that as a goal, to be able to provide that in the future, as well as the expansion of the transportation system.
I think getting the money for construction is not the problem, it's the operation.
It's the operations, yeah.
Expenses.
Are there private daycares that service multiple kids? Are there several of those? Or?
Yes, but again, they're all till about 6 o'clock.
And that, you see that as an issue with childcare?
Yes, that is an issue.
Is there anything else? I kind of interrupted you, and got off. The public transportation, and that's exactly what I was thinking when we said that with the childcare, so we address that.
Everything that the young lady has spoke of, we have those issues. And that is, if you fix one, how you gonna fix the other without fixing that one? So it's an ongoing process, how we keep trying to figure out how to accommodate, also as a company, make certain adjustments without falling through it,
Right.
Well, I guess I'll gently ask the question of, we talked about it a little bit this morning. And what role does solar play in terms of economic development, if it does at all? Because I know we talk about it from a land use perspective, but I guess there's an argument for or against that, for economic development.
That short-term benefits, just all the projects going on, and you know, the motels are full and the restaurants are full, once the project is built.
Until, I don't think it's harmful if the land that they're using is not
Prime,
on the highway near our utilities and could be developed for industrial type purposes. I don't think it's harmful to the community. However, until the state legislation changes, which I think they are on the verge of doing that, it is not a financial gain for the county. They have waived so much of their taxes, and there's no job creation after it's constructed. So personally, I have not been involved in the solar development simply because we did not view it as economic development, because there was not a financial gain and there were not job creation. So I focused on industrial and commercial, and the planning and zoning department took over the solar. Should state legislation change where it is more of a benefit or the projects are large enough to create jobs that are ongoing, certainly it would be a partnership between Lynn and I to work with those projects.
One question that we did miss, is, are there any land use issues, zoning issues, you know? As a planner, I don't believe this, but you know, many people just say, oh, zoning is, it's killing your economic development. Is there, any feelings like that in Greensville? I mean, do you have any thought that there's some regulation that could be lightened, that could make things easier, or?
I've been very fortunate to work with a very progressive economic development board for many years. They saw the value in it, they put money in it, they supported it. I have not had any issues with the client wanting to go in a certain area and it not be adequate for the zoning that they need. Now, I haven't had anybody try to build a chemical plant in the neighborhood, so, but I really don't, that isn't an issue for me.
and that's because of the future land use plan we have, where we looked into the future, when we did this the last time, and the time before that, you know, we have designated growth areas, and you mentioned earlier, you know, a lot of those goals we met. You know, exit 4 was a growth area, we just need to get the infrastructure there. We had a startup on the sewer plant today. We got one client coming, another new one, and I told you about another one I talked to the other day, so that's another business community coming. So I think that's why that tool is so important. So, you know, you can direct development where you want it. I know why Mr. Lee, one of the main reasons is the solar has created a divide in Kent, a big divide. And, I think that some of the stuff we have in the comp plan, I'm just talking about solar land, needs to go over to the zoning ordinance, black and white when it comes white. So, that way, we can be very specific about where we put that development, so it won't encroach on any viable neighborhoods or future industrial sites that we see as a great asset.
Yeah, I think Lynn made a really good point there. Just as I mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, the next industrial park, we've been looking at that site for 10, 15 years, knowing that's where we want to go next. So it's not that we just throw a dart at the board and say this is where we should develop it.
Right.
These things have been really thought out and planned out, and when we build utilities, we go by a certain place because we know that could be the next one.
And so we just done major renovations to water treatment plant in Jack for the future spot we found 10 years ago. And, you know, I think we've been very progressive, putting infrastructure in place and have done a good job, you know, as far as the water and sewer authority, looking towards the future needs of the county. One of our biggest obstacles was trying to get water to the south end of the county. We basically had two service areas. You had the north of the river and the south of the river. We finally, several years ago, put a line under the river in the bedrock, tied the system together, and then our next goal was exit 4. Then we had a well system. There's grant money out there for extended water, you know, through DHCD. I know we've tried it 4 times, and you know, you have to have a motivated income ratio to get those funds, those community development block grant funds. And there's just not enough houses going in from Dupree's garage to the bottom where our water line stops at exit 4. Then a low to moderate income, and we have one neighborhood that boosts the numbers, but they don't want a water bill, don't even come to us. So we have not been able to utilize any grant funds to get more of that. But now we have put additional wells in, we have a real good well system that can support some future growth out there. And all we had at one time was a packaged sewer plant. Like I said today, they're starting up a new sewer plant today.
Oh, it's today?
Yeah, that's why they weren't here at the last
Gotcha.
session, because they had start up today.
When we did the tour, that's when they was under construction.
Yes, correct, startups today. So we have been looking into the future and seeing the fruition of that effort there.
If you go back to your question, we are having land use issues,
Yes.
particularly as it relates to solar, simply because it's being allowed to be put in an A1 rural residential zone, which we all know, we're talking about industrial scale solar. And once it's built, that property is always going to be zoned industrial. It will never go back to agriculture. The problem, what I see, is the county has no process in place to protect county residents. It's all designed to cater to the solar applicant. And my suggestion is to put everything on a level playing ground. They created some guidelines, but didn't put a single one into the zoning ordinance. So when a solar issue comes up, you can take the 2232, throw it in the trash can. It has no value to anybody except the solar industry. In fact, if I remember right, if you read the 2232 for Griswold County, the only industry that gets promoted strongly is the solar industry. Now, I'm assuming I know why that language is in there. Because of our previous administrator and probably a past chairperson of the board created that language. But it's the only industry that the county actually promotes. They don't promote truck stops. All that's listed, but they don't promote it. It just says, here it is. The solar industry is the only one that gets preferential treatment. That's what's causing the issues. We've got families in the county that don't speak to each other. We've got neighbors that don't speak to each other. Friends don't speak to each other anymore.
Church members fight with each other. It's church members argue with each
That's right.
other. It's been a real divide in the community. Real divide. And like I said, in the comp plan, we have some metrics in place, but the comp plan is just suggestion recommendation.
So is this, it's a specific solar
Yes.
in the comp plan?
Yeah, we have, you got to be located within a mile of the existing transmission line, more than a mile from the city, you have to be a mile and a half from another project. That's just in the concrete. So, on the zoning side, it would be black and white, and a lot of them will be knocked out because they don't meet the metrics put in place.
Yeah, if there's guidelines in the zoning ordinance, then everybody knows what to expect.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether you're a local landowner, whether you're a solar applicant, in the rules.
Just like the map.
You want to like it, find another spot and move on.
Yeah, just like the map I showed you today. You can look at that map and say, do it here, we can't do it anywhere else.
Yeah.
We need to wrap it up so they can get ready for the next.
Yeah, we got another group coming in.
Yeah, I thank you all. Is there any last comments anyone wants to make? Thank you all for coming and participating. A lot of good information, I think. And welcome to come back tonight to our workshop and provide some different kind of input. We'll be looking at the goals that were established in workshop 1 and defining those and focusing strategies. And doing new revision of the land use map based on the new utilities. So. All I have, so thanks again, and don't forget to go to the website and you can check out the last workshop the notes from that. We'll do that again, have the presentation on it, the workshop, and there is a community survey. There's a link on that.
That's something I would encourage, like OSG or any company to get your workers to fill it out. It's online, but, people don't have internet at home, then we will definitely take a paper copy of it.
Did you put any of those for today, or we did it last time?